My summer of learning in Jerusalem, as part of the Hartman Rabbinical Program, took a literal detour as our flights to Israel were canceled in light of the war with Iran. Instead, we flew to Berkeley, California, not quite Jerusalem at all, for a month of Torah learning and spiritual exploration. Fulfillment of Martin Buber's famous quote, "Every journey has hidden destinations that are unknown to the traveler." It was an exciting and important month, full of deep Torah learning, cultural experiences, and lots of early morning bike rides. I also walked along the Golden Gate Bridge and rode in a Waymo, a self-driving car, which made the Jetsons seem like a distinct possibility. And I also went on some gorgeous hikes. One of these hikes was in the Armstrong National Park, a park famous for its coastal redwood trees. Who here has seen a redwood? Okay, quite a few of you. It was there that I came face to face with Colonel Armstrong, not the actual colonel who died in 1900, but a 1,400-year-old majestic redwood tree standing over 300 feet tall. Try to picture that for a moment. My guide was telling us that when you look up, we were seeing maybe 100 feet of the tree, and there was still another 200 soaring up to the heavens. And the tree has strong roots and an incredible system for getting water all the way up to the crown of the tree. Towards the entrance of the park lies a large section of a dead tree trunk positioned on its side. On it, a historian placed year markers on the growth rings, indicating when important American historical dates occurred. I was able to see that this tree was over 1,000 years old. And I started spending time considering the many world events that transpired during the long life of this tree. I thought about what it lived through and the many ways that our world has changed during this time. And I started to imagine the tree of knowledge, the Etz Hadat, planted in the Garden of Eden, the tree that our original ancestors ate from as a way of obtaining wisdom. I was mesmerized by its beauty, by its stature, and especially by its longevity. In Pirkei Avot, wisdom of our ancestors, Rabbi Yossi said, "One who learns from the old, to what are they compared?" And he answers, "To one who eats ripe grapes and drinks old wine." There's a famous midrash about Rabbi Elazar ben Azariah that we read as part of the Passover Haggadah. He says about himself, "Harei ani keven shivim shana." If you don't skip it in the Seder, I think this might add new meaning to it. Harei ani keven shivim shana. I look as if I'm 70 years old. And of course, the rabbis ask, why does it say as if he was 70 years old? In the Tractate of Brachot, we are told that he was appointed to be the head of the yeshiva, the major seminary of his time. But he was concerned that he wouldn't be respected because he was only 18. Miraculously, he woke up the next morning and looked 70. It is clear in our Torah and in our rabbinic literature that being old-aged is something seen as worthy of respect and dignity, and that specifically elders of the community hold the wisdom and the experience that we desperately need. From a young age, I felt a tremendous pull towards spending time with seniors. At the age of 8, I would go with my older sister, Bilha, to the Maimonides Geriatric Hospital in Montreal to hang out with Mrs. Sandler, who was 99 years old. I would sing to her and sit by her side. In my late teens, one of my best friends was Harry Glazer. My daughter Lev made fun of me for this. See, Harry was the 94-year-old gabbai of the Montefiore retirement home, where I honed my laning skills as I spent 3 years reading the Torah every Shabbat, often followed by long conversations with Mr. Glazer, where he would share his stories, his love for Judaism, and his view of the world. This kippah and this tie that I wear every Yom Kippur was a gift from him. It was there that I also met a conservative rabbi for the first time. Rabbi Maurice Cohen, as he would say with his thick Boston accent, was the founder of Shari Zion Synagogue and the Solomon Schechter School in Montreal. As an early advocate for women in the rabbinate, he challenged and expanded my understanding of Jewish law and the role of a rabbi to help transform their community and act towards justice and compassion. As a grandchild of 4 Holocaust survivors, I only had the blessing of meeting one of my grandparents, and my savta lived in Israel, so my time with her was limited. In marrying Raila, I was gifted two grandparents, in addition to her grandfather's second wife. And my children, and to me this feels like a miracle, still have 2 great-grandparents, and they have deep relationships with them. And so I want to ask you to take a moment to consider an elder, a senior in your life right now who has impacted you significantly. Really think about them. On the afternoon of the second day of Rosh Hashanah, after the short and sweet service, and before the downtown shofar blowing, where Aviva and I were surrounded by children, I went to blow the shofar and lead a short service in an old age home. In the days that followed, I've been visiting seniors, members of Bet Tzedek, who couldn't make it to shul. I blew the shofar for them and sat with them. Our conversations ranged from their concerns about anti-Semitism to challenges with their children. They do talk about you, by the way. And I discussed with one woman in her 80s how we have a shared affinity for watching the Dexter series about a likable serial killer who only kills other murderers. Some of them have been members of Bet Tzedek for all 70 years of our existence and shared with me their memories and opinions about some of the changes over the years. They all inquired about my children and my future plans, some offering me advice and wisdom. All of them are longing to connect to our traditions, to our community, and to our people. Our live stream services, one of the silver linings of COVID, means that they can tap into what is happening in this building, though it is not the same. And as I blew the shofar, there were many tears. Sadness about missing being in shul, the state of the world and the plight of the hostages, sadness as their bodies fail them, and sadness about the many friends and family members who are no longer alive. And despite the tears and the deep emotions expressed, I left energized each and every time. In their wrinkles and white hair, and in their smiles and in their wisdom, I feel like I am tapped into my roots, my people, going back to our ancestors who ate from the tree of knowledge. And for me, these keepers of our wisdom are also our tree of life. As we put away the Torah, we sing the words, Eitz Chaim hi lamachazikim ba. The Torah is a tree of life for those who hold on to it. Clinging to Torah is the way we maintain our wisdom, and there is another way, by clinging to those who are our wisdom holders, the seniors in our community. Our Torah has always been passed from one generation orally to the next. In the Tanit Tokef, which we just read, we are reminded that acts of tzedakah, acts of kindness and righteousness, can sweeten our destinies. Caring for seniors has always been the easiest and most natural mitzvah and act of tzedakah for me. And I also know that this is not the case for everyone. But if it is true for you, or if it is a mitzvah that you want to lean into this year, please let me know. We have dozens of members who would benefit from regular visits, weekly or monthly, or just even a phone call. Consider also donating to UJA and other organizations who support seniors. 25% of our community is under the poverty line, and many of them are Holocaust survivors and other seniors. I've been organizing a meal train for a senior in our community who's been feeling particularly ill and hasn't been able to cook for herself. And she said to me, Yacov, you know, I think that eating the food that has been brought to me, food made with love, has really been helping me heal. And she said to me yesterday when I was checking in on her, she said, I don't understand why so many of these young people who are bringing me food, some of these young people are in their 70s, by the way, like, I'm just so surprised that they care about me. And I reminded her, as I always do, that we do. And I want to talk a little bit more about those tears that I witnessed. In the Shema Kolenu prayer that we recited today and last night, we include a line that I always find heartbreaking. We say, Al tashlichenu milfanecha le'et zikna. Don't cast us away from you, God, as we become old. As our energy wanes, don't leave us. The prayer makes me think of a child going to sleep in their room, begging their parents not to leave them alone in the dark, to just stay a little bit longer. Except this is not a prayer recited by children, but the plea of seniors, the wisdom holders in our communities, praying to God to give them a few more years of life, or in some cases, to accompany them to the end. This prayer is so deep and so precious. I also hear this prayer as a call and a challenge to us all. We can't allow the seniors in our community to be forgotten, to feel like they are left alone, lack importance, or feel like a burden. But the truth is that I've encountered many seniors in our community who do feel this way, and who experience despair, a sense that they have nothing to live for, which can sometimes be confused with depression. The number of seniors who are opting for medical assistance in dying because they see themselves as broken and don't want to be a burden is staggering. A part of this is because, as my friend and fellow rabbinical student, Dr. Ariel Berger, who's a geriatrician here in Toronto, recently wrote, we have been so busy doing that we have forgotten that at our core, we are human beings, not human doings. And for my geriatric patients, she writes, as their societal roles of working, of raising children, running organizations and companies have waned, and for some, as doing has become more difficult, they are left wondering, what am I here for anyways? Ageism is real, and we are all guilty of making seniors feel marginalized and devalued. Here at Betzedek, we have tried, we haven't been perfect, at being part of the solution. As you heard our president, Don, talk about this morning, we value tremendously being a synagogue with a significant senior population. Beginning in late October, Aviv and I will be leading a Wise Aging course based on the book written by Rabbi Rachel Cowan and Linda Tall to help support our seniors to lean into this stage of life. Our colleague Penina runs to the 120 Club with great social and educational experiences for seniors. And we also have 4 small groups specifically for seniors starting later this month. If you are in this age group, we want you to know that we care about you and we want to support you. And if you or a family member is in need of a visit from a member of our spiritual leadership team, or would like regular visits from a fellow member, please reach out and let us know. We're coming to the end of the Torah, which we finish on Simchat Torah. And at this point, Moshe's role is transformed. He is now 120 years old, and for much of this book, he is teaching Bnei Israel, the Jewish people of his time, their history and their Torah, the wisdom that they need so they can be prepared for their next journey into the land of Israel, and so they can pass down that wisdom to the next generation. It is at this moment that Moshe, the great leader, is transformed into Moshe Rabbeinu, Moshe, our great teacher. Like Moshe, my mother died on her birthday, a sign of righteousness. But while Moshe was 120, my mother was only 63. It is painful and also comforting to try to imagine her as a 90-year-old with white flowing hair and with her big smile. Shortly, we are going to recite Yizkor, where we remember and focus in on our loved ones who are no longer living, our ancestors. It can be powerful and spiritual and emotional and challenging. And if we are lucky, the people we are remembering died old and satisfied with their lives. And if we are lucky enough to have old-aged people in our lives now, living, then we ought to treat them like the ancestors in the making. Our seniors, our elders, our boomers, our sages, our skenim, whatever you want to be called. You are our wisdom bearers, and you connect us to our roots. And we desperately need you to get through this next chapter of our Jewish history. We're going to take a few minutes now for the martyrdom section of Musaf, known as Ela Eskara, where we traditionally read about elders, sages, and others who were murdered throughout our history. And we are going to continue in our practice from last year of reading about one person who was killed connected to October 7th. Carly is going to come read about a grandfather and a peace builder named Oded Lifshitz. And after that, we are going to recite Avinu Malkeinu, the final Kaddish, and then continue with Yizkor. Please rise as you are able.